Hi everyone, it's Hectoring here today, and I'm back with something a little different. I'm not sure if you've seen this, but my teammate UnoPro has started doing a series of beginner replay analyses, and I'll be helping him out with one of them today. So rather than the latest meta decks, we'll be able to see something a little more geared towards beginners and some tactics that you can do, which are applicable at any level really. So we've got a Cat versus Yukiko matchup, and Yukiko's going first with a pretty aggressive start with a turn 1 shark guard. However, shark guards aren't particularly useful, and because they get so easily blocked by 2-drops, as we can see here, the Harpy blocking it up nicely. All you can do is move it up and play a 2-drop, I suppose. Here, Yukiko plays a 2-drop on a separate lane, and I'm not sure whether she could have done better by maybe putting it in front of the Harpy instead, because it's got enough retail stats to block it off nicely. And so here, Cat ups her magic in order to be able to play Insect Swarm next turn. Now, I don't particularly like that. I'd much rather up my might in order to play the Shredder next turn to pick off the Shark Guard. And here, Yukiko is going to use the Coral Priestess to get in for some early damage. Now, Coral Priestess is really useful, so she might have done better to save her outmaneuver for a little later in the game to combine it with some good spells like a Geyser, for example. Now here Yukiko gets to block off the double Harpy lane with Naga Yokujin as well as a Silver Bull Spirit. And so the Insect Swarm hasn't been particularly kind to the Harpies here. And you see, because of having to go up to 3 magic, now Cat is stuck with not being able to play many of her creatures at all. Especially if she wants to cast Campfire and Broken Bridge at some point. Mass Regeneration isn't a card that we often see because it's not particularly worth it on its own. You know, you're paying 3 costs to have an effect which doesn't immediately impact the board. Nonetheless, you know, this is a beginner replay. There may be issues with card availability and so on. Right. Now here, what I would do is I would up my might and play the 1 Izame on the bottom row, allowing my Spring Spirit to kill the Hunter. I think pulling the trigger on Chain Lightning there was a bit too premature. I mean, the 1 Izame would have provided a reasonable board presence as well. Now, Yukiko can play the 1 Izame there and use the Silver Bowl Spirit to kill the Harpy. I don't think the Frozen Mace is really necessary there. You're blowing it on 1 Shredder essentially, whereas in the later game, in a complicated board position, it might have done a lot more good. Unfortunately, the positioning of it means that Cat's going to be able to pull off a nice Broken Bridge here, trading off essentially 3 resources for the 7 resources of those creatures at the cost of a card. If you're playing with Broken Bridges, you're going to want to look for opportunities to do that. I have to say, Cat's getting pretty lucky with drawing all these Shredders, which are incredibly useful. Both for picking off creatures as well as dealing direct damage to the hero out of nowhere. So I mean, now Cat can't really do anything about this power lane, but she can still poke through another 4 damage with those shredders, basically uninterrupted, as well as just dropping more creatures on the board. Now, Cat's going to move her Goblin Scout, and then she opts to play her Dreamwalker and Crusher in quite an aggressive position. Now, personally, I would probably have blocked the lane with a Crusher or something like that. Since you're at 10 health, and you're taking 6 possibly, and later in the game Yukiko's got some outmaneuvers and stuff. Or another thing you could have done was leave your Goblin Scout there as a sacrifice. Use it to deal 2 damage to one of these creatures, setting it up nicely for the Chain Lightning in your hand. Now, Yukiko here does deal the 6 damage, but given that she's facing down so many creatures, I would have thought that you want to play a Naga Tidemaster, which is a great blocker, as well as getting a kill on one of the creatures, like a Shredder or a Crusher or, well, anything really, just to gain some board advantage. So the Cat gets to use the Chain Lightning plus Shredder combination to pick off some creatures, and despite being on a much lower health total, it's doing pretty well. Now she attacks with the Shredder and blocks with the Crusher, which has magic resist against the Spring Spirit, so that's pretty good. Another thing you can think about doing is tagging for 2 damage, moving it out of the way, and playing your second Shredder to kill it off entirely. And now you see here Yukiko is agonizingly close to the win. I mean, if she had 11 resources, is it 11? Well, if she had more resources, she could play, for example, a 3-drop, Truce Away a blocker, then Naga Tidemaster to relocate to deal 4 damage. Unfortunately, she can't, and even playing a Sayama Warden first to reduce the cost isn't quite going to cut it here. And in fact, you see, because of the way the creatures are lined up, even the outmaneuver can't really kill any of these creatures except the Goblin Scout. So she plays the Warden as a blocker, plus the Yokujin and an Ice Shell to protect it. I mean, Cat here is in a pretty commanding position. Lightning Bolt to take out one of the Yokujins, another Shredder for later in the game to deal the finishing blow. So that's 3 Shredders already this game. I mean, here you've got to consider, do you want to take out the top Yokujin with the Lightning Bolt, or are you worried about the Sayama Warden? You can break the Ice Shell, Lightning Bolt it, and then finish it off with the Crusher. There's a lot of things to do here, and Cat's in a pretty good board position. If I was in that position, I wouldn't realize how close to death I'd been last time. So she does opt to push through 4 more damage. And then use Weak of the Weaponsmith to buff up that Harpy. Weak of the Weaponsmith is usually a very ineffective event because it costs 3 resources for a small advantage, but if you're playing with it, remember to use it in situations where you can, like there. Again, uh, so close to truce plus relocate for the win. But you need 2 relocations now in order to get 2 unblocked lanes. Um, and she's starting. I mean, she can do 2 more damage, but uh, you know, that's really not the best use of her resources, I don't think. Um, I, if you can't go for the kill, getting board control is often a lot better. And Cat draws the 4th shredder because, I guess she's got a lot of luck today. Um, Pitches another crusher. So I guess the ratio of spells to creatures in this deck is pretty low because another opportune removal spell in this game will be over instantly. That was a little bit of a mistake because you could have attacked the Crusher into the Shark Guard and the Dreamwalker into the Warden without taking any retail damage, but it really doesn't matter at this point. Yukiko's facing down a board of 8 creatures with, you know, just, you just need 2 removal spells to get rid of it, or but I mean, or removal spell and outmaneuver, but there's just no space anymore. It's a real shame, one ice meteor or something and this game would be over. But alas, that is not to be today. Um, Finally, I've got a little puzzle for you guys. Right, so I was in this position as cat against Feria, and I was in a pretty good position, but my opponent managed to just flood the board with Lich Tactician and a bunch of skeleton tokens, 15 of them to be precise. Um, Now, I'm going to tell you there isn't a way to get a kill this turn, um, but there is a way to really get control of the board and almost ensure victory on the next turn. Uh, so, send in your best guesses, and if you can guess what I did that turn, you'll win a code.